Hey guys, tonight we begin high in the mountains, where the stars cling close and the wind sings through broken stone. You're lying on your back on a threadbare mat, the kind that's collected more stories in its fibers than most books manage. In a lifetime, the air is cold enough to sting your teeth when you breathe in too deep, and the ground underneath you is solid, unmoving except when it ISN single quotes T dot because the rocks here. They hum. Not a hum you hear so much as one you feel. Like your bones are picking up an old tune. Something ancient and wordless. You sit up slowly. There's a smell smoke, but not campfire. It curls through the air like a whisper, drifting between boulders and vanishing into shadowed cracks. The sun hasn't risen yet, but the sky is bruised with that pre-dawn gray, and something is stirring. So, before you get comfortable, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're nestled in the Tian Shan Range, a stretch of mountains whose name literally means celestial mountains, which already sounds suspiciously dragon-friendly, doesn't it? You woke up here because, last night, after a long, somewhat suspicious bowl of yak stew and a local story involving lightning and giant bones, you decided to sleep outside. The innkeeper laughed. He said the rocks here remember things, especially people. You assumed it was metaphor. Now, maybe not. You walked toward the smoke, careful not to trip on frost-laced stones. Each step echoes just a little too loud. You reach a crag and peek over. No fire, no people. Just a strange crack in the earth that wasn't there yesterday. It's maybe 2 feet wide, stretching across the ledge like something tore the mountain a new seam. The air from the crack is warm. Not hot, but warm enough to fog the cold morning. And the smell? Still smoke, but also oddly like iron and something sweet, like rust and honey. You lean closer. Then you hear it. The hum. It's low, rhythmic, almost like breath. You've heard wind whistle through caves before, but this is different. It's not the wind. It's coming from within the mountain, and it feels deliberate. There's a theory, okay, not a widely accepted one, but juicy enough for late nights that ancient tales of dragons across cultures were sparked by deep earth sounds created by magma movement or tectonic stress. Some geologists call it harmonic tremor. Basically, the earth humming before it shifts. Historians still argue whether that's enough to explain the universality of dragon myths. Because these creatures show up everywhere: China, Persia, Scandinavia, Mesoamerica, even Wales. Either ancient people were way more connected than we thought, or there was something else. You reach into your coat and pull out the little sketchbook you brought. You didn't expect to use it for anything beyond doodling rock formations. But suddenly the urge hits. You start sketching the crack, noting the faint heat ripples in the air above it. You draw the smoke swirl. And then, unconsciously, you draw an eye. You blink at the page. The eye is round, slit-pupilled, and surrounded by feather-like ridges. You didn't mean to draw that, but your hand did. Somewhere in your chest, something tightens. You close the book and back away. Behind you, the sun finally rises or tries to. The light is weak, filtered through a haze that now blankets the sky. A few flakes of ash drift down. Not snow. Ash. You catch one on your glove and watch it crumble into nothing. On the way back toward the camp, you pass a rock you didn't notice before. It's smooth, rounded on one side, with striations, like growth rings. You squat beside it and brush away the frost. More markings. Spiral patterns, nearly perfect circles, cut into the stone itself. Some archaeologists argue that these spirals, found across ancient sites from Ireland to Mongolia, represent energy or portals or time itself. Others say it's just primitive art. But here, carved into a mountain that's humming and exhaling warm breath, it doesn't feel primitive. It feels intentional. Back at camp, you try to eat breakfast flatbread and dried figs, but your hands are shaking. The hum hasn't stopped. It's subtle, but it's there. Like the mountain has a heartbeat now. You take another bite and chew. Slowly, eyes still on the ridge. You can't stop thinking about the eye you drew. It was too specific, like a memory, like recognition. You decide to hike a little higher, closer to the source of the smoke. The ascent is tough, your boots slipping, more often than usual, like the earth itself doesn't want you there. Still, you climb, because something deep in your gut is whispering, you need to see this, not want, need. And you do, because when you reach the next ledge, the smoke is thicker. It pools in a shallow basin between rocks, and right at the center half covered. In ash and moss is a shape that makes your breath hitch. It looks like a shell, not of a turtle or a bird or anything you can name. It's massive, cracked in places, and patterned with ridges that shimmer faintly when the light hits them right. One part has broken open recently, you'd guess, based on the still dark interior and the wet-looking edge of the fracture. You kneel. Gently, you reach out and brush away more ash. The shell isn't just a shape, it's fossilized. Or maybe, not entirely, it feels more like cooled metal than bone. And it hums, just a little, just enough. A few hundred years ago, in medieval China, fossilized bones found in mountains were often interpreted as dragon remains. They were crushed into powders and sold as medicine longu, or dragon bone, believed to calm the spirit. Even today, some traditional pharmacies stock it. Quirky twist? Modern paleontologists have traced some of these dragon bones back to dinosaur fossils, meaning, yes, villagers were basically treating depression with ground-up stegosaurus. Kind of wild. But this doesn't feel prehistoric. It feels recent. The humming gets louder. You step back. Then the air changes, not just warmer charged, like static before a storm. Your hair lifts slightly. The smoke begins to swirl upward, sucked into an unseen current. The ground shifts beneath your feet, a single deep thud echoing from somewhere below. You look at the cracked shell again. Something was in there, and you're not entirely sure it's gone. The crack in the shell still glistens faintly, like something wet has just peeled away from it. You don't want to touch it again, but your eyes stay locked on the seam. The texture isn't just smooth, it's deliberate. Each ridge is almost like armor, grown with purpose, overlapping in a perfect pattern. This isn't the fossilized fluke of erosion. It's a blueprint. Your breath fogs the air. The mountain hum has faded a little, but it's still there, like background static your bones haven't quite tuned out yet. You're starting to suspect it won't go away. You glance around. No footprints but yours. No signs of wildlife. Even the usual crows and marmots are missing. The air is too still. You feel like you've stepped into a moment the world forgot something. Caught between now and never. You back away slowly and return to the ledge's edge. Below, your camp looks impossibly far down, like another life. For a moment, you consider heading back, leaving, pretending you never saw the egg. But it's too late for that, isn't it? You know this because your pocket is warm. You fumble in your coat and pull out the sketchbook again. It shouldn't be warm. It's made of paper, cotton, and that weird old elastic band. But it is. You flip it open. The eye is still there. But now, there's a second line, a long, arched neck, faintly drawn. You didn't sketch that. You didn't. But there it is, curling softly like smoke across the page. And just for a second, as you stare at it, the page pulses once. You close the book, shove it deep into your backpack, and start walking again, this time not back to camp, but sideways, toward a narrow trail you'd spotted yesterday, half choked with snow and scrub. Something in you says this path matters, and for whatever reason, you listen. The trail is older than it looks. The steps are carved, though barely, just a line here, a notch there enough to guide your feet if you know what to look for. It winds behind a ridge, and soon you're in a narrow ravine lined with spiky plants that shouldn't be growing this high up. Some of them look prehistoric, with thick waxy leaves and blood-red flowers that nod lazily as you pass. Halfway through the pass, you notice claw marks in the rock. They're old, smooth by time, but wider than your hand and deep. You try to measure with your fingers, then decide against it. Whatever left them wasn't small or delicate, according to historical records. Ancient steppe cultures, like the Scythians and early Mongol tribes, sometimes told of great winged beasts nesting in the mountain valleys, creatures that would wake once every 100 years to migrate through the sky and drink the clouds. Some scholars believe these myths were metaphors for seasonal storms or meteor showers. Others aren't so sure. Historians still argue whether these stories came from genuine encounters or just a deep-seated fear of the unknown. But many agree that across cultures, there's something strangely consistent about the egg. The cosmic egg, the dragon egg, the world egg. It's everywhere. From Chinese legends of Pengu, who cracked open an egg that became the world, to Norse myths of Ymir's body forming the earth, to Hindu stories of Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb that birthed the universe. The egg always shows up. And now, you've found one. You climb higher, and the path ends at a ledge with a view that feels more like a throne than a cliff. The valley stretches below like a green, dreaming beast, and in the center, far off in the mist, you spot it. A hill that's not a hill, perfectly round, to smooth, to symmetrical. Another egg. No, that's where the egg came from. You sit and breathe. The hum is louder up here, so soft, but relentless. You close your eyes, and in the darkness, you see it. Not a dream, not quite. More like a memory, not yours. A rush of wind, feathers, glowing lines across the sky. A wing like glass, curved and silent, slicing through clouds. A single eye opening beneath the ground. Then dash nothing. You snap awake. Not asleep, not fully, but gone for a moment. The winds shifted, warmer now, carried up from the valley, and with it comes a scent you don't expect. Cinnamon, faint, almost imagined. But there, you start descending, carefully, your boots crunching gravel that seems to hiss under your weight. You're halfway down when you notice the trees are changing. First, they're just pines, then evergreens with twisted trunks, then bizarrely something like cherry blossoms blooming out of season, their petals falling in slow motion even though there's no breeze. You reach a clearing, and in the center is a stone. Not a boulder, a stone, placed, round, carved. It has the same spiral symbol you saw earlier, but this one is deeper, cleaner, less worn, and surrounding it are 6 smaller stones, each with its own shape: feather, claw, fang, eye, flame, and breath. You approach and touch the center stone. It's cold, then hot, then cold again. A crack appears not in the stone, but in the air above it, just a flicker, like static, a shimmer. Then it's gone. Quirky fact for you. In Siberian shamanism, certain stones are believed to be thin places, locations where the veil between worlds is weakest. These stones are used in rituals to communicate with spirits, animals, ancestors, even stars. This feels like one of those places. You back away, heart pounding, and notice your breath curling. Not from the cold, but from the tension. The very atmosphere feels tight, like a balloon being filled just a little too much. And behind you no sound, but presence. You turn slowly. On the ridge above, there's a shape, not moving, not breathing, but definitely watching. Yugi decided that motion is a luxury you no longer deserve. The shape on the ridge above isn't sharp. It's like a smear of shadow where light refuses to settle. But it has structure, arches and angles that suggest wing or horn, and a ripple. Behind it, like heat haze, the petals from the out-of-season blossoms drift gently around you, falling slower than they should. Some of them seem to pause mid-air, hovering for a second before descending again. It's subtle, but now you're hyper-aware. Gravity is behaving differently here. You finally manage to breathe, and the sound feels far too loud. The figure doesn't flinch, but the air ripples again. You blink. It's gone. Not the way something hides behind a rock. Gone the way a shadow disappears when the light shifts. You're not sure if you're relieved or more terrified. Slowly, your body remembers motion. You turn and continue into the clearing. The stones, the petals, the spiral pattern on the ground, they all feel part of something, a ritual, maybe, or a memory. You can't shake the feeling that this place isn't for you. You've stumbled into a conversation that began thousands of years ago. You're just the punctuation mark. The hum returns. This time, it's higher, almost musical, and it's coming from below. You kneel and press your hand to the earth. The spiral stone feels alive, not warm, but vibrating, like it's listening or dreaming. You whisper, "What are you?" And for a moment, you swear the hum responds, just a tiny shift in pitch, as if acknowledging your question without answering. You sit there, unmoving. Minutes pass, maybe more, until finally, a small sound breaks the stillness, a soft, steady drip. Water? No. Thicker. It echoes from the cave wall ahead, just beyond a tight bend in the rocks. You follow it. The passage is narrow, like it was made for something slightly smaller than you, but much longer. You squeeze through sideways, brushing past slick stone that smells faintly of sulfur and something floral. Like jasmine that's forgotten how to bloom. Inside, the space widens again, and there, illuminated by the glow of bioluminescent lichen, are carvings, not crude ones. These are precise, elegant, dozens of them, curling around the walls in a language you don't recognize, but almost understand. Spirals again, wings, flames, drawn like wind, eyes that blink from angles that shouldn't exist. The carvings tell a story. Along one dot it begins with sky, a vast sky, stitched with light, beneath which something falls a shape, trailing fire and silence, crashing into a mountain and burying itself deep inside. Then come the figures, humanoid, cloaked, offering gifts, not of gold or food, but of silence. One carving shows them placing fingers to lips and bowing. Another shows one being devoured when it speaks. You might be dreaming, but your feet feel real. The stone beneath you feels real. The distant hum still there, still gentle, is definitely real. One panel shows a dragon not quite like the ones in fairy tales. This one is long, serpentine, with feathered wings and a crown of bone. Its eyes aren't angry. They're curious, observant, like it's studying you through the rock. Here's your mainstream history tidbit. The oldest known written reference to dragons comes from ancient Mesopotamia. Around 2500 BCE, the creature, Usengalio, was described as part serpent, part bird, part god, a being of great knowledge and even greater danger. But here's the fringe version. Some researchers think that early dragon myths didn't come from fear, but memory. That the creatures were never meant to be monsters, but messengers, or even guardians. Historians still argue whether dragons symbolized chaos or wisdom in early cultures. But in these carvings, you don't see destruction, you see exchange. Figures handing over symbols, fire, wind, bone, and receiving dreams in return. One panel even shows a human sleeping while a dragon whispers into their ear. That gets your attention. You remember last night. Or was it a dream? The vision of wings slicing through clouds, the glowing sky, the eye opening beneath stone. It felt more like something was transmitted to you than imagined. You walk further in. The final wall carving shows something peculiar. A cracked egg, nestled between mountain peaks. And above it, the dragon not flying, but vanishing into light. Becoming mist, the people bow. The mountain hums. Then, abruptly, the wall ends. Nothing beyond but smooth, blank stone. like the story stopped mid-sentence. You step closer, touch the smooth surface, and suddenly the hum drops to silence. Your ears ring. The absence of the hum is almost more deafening than its presence. Then, behind you drip. You spin. There's something on the floor. A pool. Small. Reflective. You hadn't seen it before. You kneel and look into it. At first. It's just water. Then, your reflection shimmers. You see yourself. Yes, but not as you are. You're older, wearing clothes you've never owned, standing on a ledge you've never seen, and behind you, the dragon, massive, radiant, silent. You blink, and it's gone. The water is just water again. You leave the cavern slowly, the hum returning as you pass the carvings in reverse. They seem to watch you now, not judge, just observe. Back in the clearing, the winds changed again. The blossoms are falling faster now, and in the distance, clouds gather but not like normal storm clouds. These are layered, circular, concentric rings, glowing faintly at the center. The mountain pulses, not visibly, but you feel it, like a second heartbeat, buried just beneath your own. And from behind a ridge, another sound joins the hum. A low, distant, click. Then again. Click, 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 almost like claws. You freeze. The figure from the ridge is back, closer now. You don't run, because whatever this is, it's older than fear, and it's waking. You don't look directly at the shape this time. You've learned that lesson. Instead, you keep your gaze soft, a little unfocused, as if catching something in your peripheral vision might help you see it better. And maybe it does, because the form on the ridge doesn't stay still. It shifts fluidly, first taller, then broader, then narrower. It's not walking toward you. It's becoming. Each blink of your eyes seems to rearrange the edges of it. At one moment, it's avian, the long suggestion of feathers trailing behind. Then reptilian, scales catching moonlight where no moon exists. Then something else entirely, a silhouette, shaped like a thought you're not ready to understand. You stand your ground. A low breeze cuts across the clearing, stirring the petals. They rise and spiral like smoke, forming a loose funnel between you and the thing watching. The air grows tight again. The pressure behind your eyes builds until you almost kneel from it, but instead, you exhale slowly and take one careful step forward. The shape vanishes. And in its place, on the ground, is a scale. You approach, knees a little shaky, and crouch beside it. It's unlike the other one you saw before, the feathered, glowing sliver from the village tale. This one is heavier, darker, iridescent only at its edges. Its surface is rough, almost like volcanic glass, but the pattern etched across it resembles fingerprints, too large to be human, too deliberate to be natural. You pick it up. It hums, not loudly, but it sings the same tune as the mountain. You can feel the pitch align with the frequency under your feet. Like the scale is part of the mountain, or maybe the mountain is part of the scale. You wrap it carefully in a scarf and tuck it into your bag. Now the humming is inside your pack. You keep walking, not because you know where you're going, but because it does. You descend a long switchback trail. one carved by older hands than yours. The stones underfoot are placed to intentionally to be random. Spirals again. Always spirals. You reach a shallow cave with a worn stone bench at its mouth. Someone once waited here, long ago. There are faded etchings on the walls less complex than those in the inner chamber, but meaningful. Wing shapes, a large eye, a curled tail like smoke. You sit, letting the breeze dry the sweat that suddenly formed at the back of your neck. From here, you can see the valley below, and in the center of the not a hill you now realize the truth. That mound is no hill. It's another egg, larger than the first, uncracked, sleeping, but not dormant. There's movement in the mist, low to the ground, fast. You remember something from your childhood, a story told by a visiting monk who claimed to have walked the ridges of the Altai Mountains for 50 years. He told your village, in a voice cracked by snow and silence, that some dragons don't fly with wings, but with thought. That they moved through mist like fish through water, and only revealed themselves to those who were already part of their dream dot at the time. You thought it was a metaphor. Now, you're not so sure. Historians still argue whether the appearance of dragons in multiple, unconnected cultures points to a shared human psychology, some subconscious archetype of power, fear, or nature. Others argue it's simpler. Dragons are just born from the bones we dig up and don't understand. Dinosaurs, megafauna, misidentified mammoths, but the sheer consistency of the dragon-curled body. Fire or flight, wisdom or wrath, it's hard to dismiss as coincidence. And now one's breathing beneath your boots. You leave the cave and follow a narrow trail lined with brittle trees, their bark paper-thin and flaking like old skin. A low noise catches your ear. Not the hum, not wind. A melody. Barely there, drifting in and out like it's riding the temperature. Notes that don't belong in any known scale. You hum along, instinctively trying to match it. And when you do, just briefly, the ground beneath your foot vibrates in rhythm. You stop singing. The vibration stops. You try again. The same result. You're not imagining this. There's something about the voice, about music. It interacts with the mountain in a way speech doesn't. Maybe that's why those cloaked figures in the cave murals were always silent. Maybe they sang, "You press on. The trail ends in front of a jagged, black cliff, a wall of fused obsidian. Smooth in some places, rough in others. But near the center is something unmistakable. A doorway, not a literal one. There's no frame, no hinges. Just a rectangular absence of faint glow around a perfectly vertical crack in the wall. Tall enough to walk through, wide enough for something not human. Around the edges, etched into the glassy stone, are more symbols. They pulse slightly when you look directly at them, like your eyes are tricking your brain into believing they're moving. You take a step forward, then another. The door hums, just a bit louder than the mountain, just enough to make your chest resonate. You reach out and touch it. Nothing happens, but your scale tucked away in your bag grows warm. You pull it out slowly. It glows now, just faintly, when you bring it near the doorway. The glow strengthens. The edge of the crack widens slightly, barely enough to see. A test. You press the scale into the center of the door. It fits. perfectly. The wall splits open not violently, not loudly, just cleanly. Like a side dot inside is darkness, but not empty. It feels full, like a room made of memory. The air smells of rain on old parchment, of dust and lightning. You step in, breath held. The door closes behind you. Now you see them. Not dragons, not yet, but eggs, dozens, hundreds, some whole, some cracked, some hollow. They're nested in alcoves carved into the walls, each with its own symbol, its own hum. You walk slowly, reverently, through the corridor of unborn giants. Some hum in harmony, others in discord. Some are silent. You pause before one that feels colder than the others. The symbol above it shows a spiraled horn and twin wings. You wonder how long it's been here. Thousands of years? Millions? You don't dare touch it. You hear a voice, not out loud, not in words, but in your mind. One word. Soon, you don't know if it's a promise or a warning. The hum rises. The eggs begin to glow. Not brightly, not dangerously, just enough to show their shapes. And in that moment, you realize something you hadn't before. The egg you found on the ridge was the smallest. You take a shaky step backward, but the floor is smooth and strange, like glass softened by breath. It doesn't echo underfoot the way stone should. Instead, it absorbs your steps with an odd gentleness, like the whole chamber has been designed to cradle sound instead of reflect it. The eggs around you shift just slightly. Nothing cracks, nothing hatches, but they move. One leans deeper into its alcove. Another rocks so minutely you wonder if it was your imagination. The humming, the ever-present song of the chamber, adjusts again. This time it's in a minor key, a little sad, a little curious, almost like a lullaby remembering itself. You pause. Beneath a hanging lantern of unknown fuel it flickers blue with no flame and tilt your head. You're not supposed to be here. A voice says dot you spin. But there's no one dot, just more eggs. More silence. The voice wasn't heard, it was placed in your head, gently, like a marble rolled across a floor. You reply without sound, the way you might respond to a dream, a kind of half-thought. Why? The answer comes slower, because the last time it broke everything now. That's the kind of cryptic bedtime storyline that would send any historian into a frenzy of footnotes. But you're not writing a paper. You're standing in the middle of what may be the last intact dragon nursery on Earth. Or maybe the first. Scholars still debate whether early Mesopotamian tales of winged serpents were metaphors, myths, or something. Real glimpsed through the haze of flood myths and oral memory. One theory, dismissed by most but stubbornly persistent in fringe circles, argues that ancient ziggurats weren't just temples, but mimicries of places like this, of chambers where beings slept in stone and waited for music to wake them. But back to your problem. There's still no door. You press your hand to the black wall where the entrance used to be. Nothing happens. The egg chamber watches you. You're not sure how long you stay that way. Long enough for your back to ache. Long enough to consider maybe sleeping on the floor. Though that feels incredibly disrespectful in a room full of potential dragons. Then a small hum shifts just to your right. You turn. One of the eggs is glowing. Not much, just a faint amber. Shimmer under its shell. The symbol above its alcove, the same spiral you've seen again and again. But this time with a circle in its center. A closed eye. Or a sun. You approach slowly. There's no fear in you now. Just or dot the egg pulses. With warmth dot you place your hand on it. Not thinking. Just in needing to connect dot. And the world bends. You don't fall. You fold. The chamber vanishes. The walls stretch away into stars. You're not standing anymore. You're floating. And in front of you is a creature that isn't born yet, but already remembers you. Its body is light and smoke, coiling in slow. Spirals that echo the symbols you've traced. Its eyes are closed. It hasn't hatched. But its mind is awake. It's dreaming of forests burning, of oceans crashing, of civilizations rising and falling like breaths. You see them all, fast and slow at once. A Roman soldier screaming at a shadow that never made it into the scrolls. A Tang dynasty painter hiding dragon scales in brushstrokes. A Moorish architect building impossible arches, with clod symbols hidden in stone dot and through it all. The same shape, curled, watching, sleeping. You realize you are inside the dragon's memory. Or maybe it's inside yours. The scholars say every dragon is a reflection of the culture that dreams it. That dragons in the East are wise and vast and cloud-bound because those societies revered harmony with nature. That Western dragons are winged, armored, and fire-spitting because the medieval world feared what it could not tame. But what if they're all true? What if every dragon is just one dragon? Seen through different mirrors, the voice returns, clearer now. Will you help me be born? You don't know what to say, or think, or feel. But your hands move. In this dream space or memory space you reach out. And as your fingers brush the shimmer of the dragon's form, something clicks. Not like a door unlocking, more like a song remembering its next note. The chamber returns. Your body is heavy again. Your hand is still on the egg. And it is cracking. A single line, thin as a hair, runs down its side. A soft hiss of steam curls from the fissure. The humming in the room intensifies, other eggs reacting, but not in alarm, in response. The room is waking up. You step back, holding your breath. The egg's top splits with a sound like ice fracturing underfoot. Light spills out, not blinding, but ancient. Dust motes dance in it like stars caught in a snow globe. Then you see the eye, golden, slitted. Aware it sees you, and it remembers. The hatchling is small by dragon standards, barely the size of a lion, but its presence fills the space. It steps free of the egg without hesitation. Talons clicking gently on the soft glass floor. Its wings are damp and folded. Its body glows faintly, like coals under silk. It sniffs the air, turns to you, and without moving its mouth says, "Hungry? Okay, so you didn't bring snacks." But the dragon doesn't mean food, not physical food. You know what it needs. You begin to hum, softly at first, a scale you don't remember learning. But your voice follows it anyway. The notes rise, fall, twist, They echo through the chamber. The hatchling watches you, head tilted, then lifts its snout and joins in. Not with voice, its presence joins. A harmonic line beneath yours. Warm, old, patient. The other eggs don't move. They're listening, waiting. You hum until your throat aches. Then silence. The hatchling steps closer and rubs its head against your knee. Oh no. You've imprinted. Historically. The idea of humans forming bonds with dragons has always fallen into two categories: total fantasy or divine punishment. In medieval bestiaries, the Draconarius was often shown riding a beast into battle, but always died horribly. Because dragons, as we all know, are not horses. But there are also hints in Celtic and Sumerian mythology of dragons choosing humans to carry their name or their will. Some even believed kings were merely the dreaming hands of dragons, long asleep beneath their kingdoms. You wonder which role you've just taken. The dragon stretches, flaps its damp wings once, and curls beside you. Asleep. Again. You exhale. Finally, then you hear it. The door. It reopens. Not loudly, just enough to let in a whisper of wind. A sign. You glance down at your new companion. It's breathing slowly, deeply, the kind of sleep where dreams run thick and meaningful. You lift the scarf again, the one that carried the scale and wrap it loosely around the hatchling like a blanket. Its size. Sparks drift upward and fade. You walk toward the door, every footstep feeling less like an ending and more like a beginning. The passage behind the newly opened door glows faintly pale green, like moss catching sunlight beneath forest water. You step through with the heavy quiet of someone leaving a cathedral or a dream. Behind you, the hatchling doesn't stir, and you're not sure if it ever will again without your presence. There's a strange guilt, like you've just made a promise without realizing it. The corridor narrows. Walls draw close. Patterns shift. At first, you think it's just the trick of the light, but no. The symbols etched along the walls are changing. They bloom, fade, dissolve, reform. One becomes a lion with a serpent tail, then a bird whose wings fold into petals, then your face, just for a breath. Then it's gone. The corridor opens into a circular chamber different from the nursery. This one feels inquisitive, a little nosy, like it wants to study you back. The walls are covered in shelves, but not with books. No, these are vials, thousands of them, each glowing faintly in colors that don't quite belong on the spectrum. You're reminded of deep-sea creatures and childhood crayon mistakes. One vial flickers as you approach. It rises on its own, floats in midair, and pivots toward you like an eye. You stare. It blinks. You're not kidding. It blinks. And then poof, dust. That's when you realize something quietly horrifying. These aren't specimens of dragons. Their memories. Contained moments, bottled glances. You don't know how, or why, or who preserved them. But now that you're here, you feel them tugging at your mind like dreams you almost had. One bottle smoky blue begins to pour itself into your thoughts. You don't resist. The image is immediate. A mountain top, icy wind. A cloaked figure holding a massive egg wrapped in bronze wire. The man is weeping not from sorrow, but exhaustion. Behind him, a burning city, Ahead, a ledge. He places the egg gently on the rock and turns away. Seconds later, wings darken the sky. The vision shatters. You stumble back, heart pounding. So much for this being a sleep story. You take a breath. Maybe two. Historians still argue whether medieval tales of dragons hiding in the Alps or slumbering beneath Istanbul were metaphors for political upheaval, encoded warnings about volcanoes, or desperate attempts to stitch myth into fractured cultural memory. But there's one Byzantine scroll dismissed as apocryphal by most. That describes an archive of breath, a place where the dreams of serpents are kept, bottled in glass, to await the next awakening. Sound familiar? You reach toward another vial. This one is violet, warmer. It pulses like a heartbeat. And again, the memory grabs you. A child barefoot, laughing, runs through golden grass. A small dragon, no bigger than a goat, bounds after her, its tongue lolling like a dog's. They collapse together in the shade of a tree older than time. The dragon hums. The child hums back. Then the image fades. Simple. Perfect. Real. You pull your hand back, trembling. Somewhere behind you, a chime echoes, not loud. Just enough to remind you that this isn't your memory room. You're a guest. A very nosy guest with boundary issues. One last vial catches your eye. Not glowing. Not floating. Just sitting on the edge of a crooked shelf like it's too tired to sparkle. You pick it up. The glass is warm. Inside, darkness, thick and shifting, like a storm cloud waiting to decide whether it's going to rain or explode. This one doesn't pour into you. This one waits, and when you blink, you're not in the chamber anymore. You're standing in a vast stone hall, cavernous, dim. The sound of heavy chains being dragged echoes somewhere nearby. You turn slowly, your feet crunching small bones. Bird-like, fragile, the air smells of iron and regret. A figure tall, robed in tattered red silk approaches. You can't see its face, but it speaks, not with words, but a kind of flavor in your mind. Bitter almond, ash, salt, another fool who wants control. You shake your head. I'm just passing through. It laughs. The kind of laugh you feel in your molars. The dragon you woke is watching. You blink, and just like that you're back in the vial room. The vial in your hand is cracked. Empty. Gone. The shelves no longer glow. The chamber dims. Whatever this room wanted to show you, it's done now. You move toward the next door, a narrow slit in the far wall, barely wide enough to slip through sideways. Beyond it, stairs wind upward, tight, spiral. You ascend. The walls here are smoother, less decorative, more recent. No, that's not it. More urgent. You reach the top and emerge into open air. Finally, a platform stretches ahead of you, high above a mist-shrouded valley. The sky is a bruised purple, dawn just beginning to tease the edges. In the distance, a spire of black stone pierces the clouds, some ancient tower too thin to climb, too straight to fall. Birds wheel around it like sparks. And then, a roar, not from the tower, not from the sky. From behind you. You spin, the hatchling. It followed. Wings fully unfurled now, scales shimmering. It's not as small as before. Growth by memory, by song? You have no clue. But it looks. Proud Dot, and very annoyed that you left without saying goodbye. It flaps once, twice, then lands beside you with surprising grace. Its head nudges your hand like a cat. You sigh and scratch behind its ear. Happy now? A warm puff of smoke in your face answers the question. Then it looks toward the tower. You both do. There's a rhythm to the way the mist moves now. Not wind, not weather, breathing. The tower is not just a structure dot, it's a live dot, some scholars fringe. Again. Of course believe that certain geological formations across the world, from Uluru in Australia to Devil's Tower in Wyoming, were actually remnants of skybinders. Places where dragons were either born or chained. The idea being, you don't build temples for gods. You build traps for them, or at least containment fields. So here's a thought you didn't expect to have today. Is that tower a prison your dragon shifts beside you? And hums dot the song returns dot not from you this time from it. And somewhere deep in that black tower, something answers dot low, slow, heavy as stone. A duet. You take a step back. Maybe waking one dragon was a little ambitious. But two, the roar rolls out again. But this time it carries weight. Did the rumble that makes the very stones beneath your feet vibrate. You stand frozen for a moment, letting the sound wash over you like an ancient tide pulling at your senses. The hatchling, now towering beside you, lowers its head, eyes narrowing. It's a dragon that's still learning its strength, yet it knows this call intimately. It's an echo from the past, a summons from a power far greater than either of you. The dawn light bathes the valley below, but the shadows cast by the black tower stretch unnaturally, as if reaching towards something or someone. The mist curls and twists around the base, moving with intention, coiling like a serpent ready to strike. The air smells electric, charged with the tension of something about to happen. You reach out to the hatchling, and it presses its head into your palm. Warm and solid despite the ethereal nature of everything around you. Its wings beat slowly, stirring the mist, as if trying to clear a path. You realize that this creature, your companion, is not just a baby dragon, it's a key, a bridge between the sleeping past and the waking future. Behind you, the narrow staircase you ascended vanishes, swallowed by the mountain as if it never existed. There's no way back, only forward into the unknown. The valley below is dotted with ruins, crumbling stone circles, broken statues, and weathered pillars. You've read about these in old legends, the remains of ancient dragon cults who worshipped sky serpents and fire lords. Some say these ruins are portals, others claim they were prisons. Historians still argue whether these cults were the originators of dragon myths, or merely successors to something far older. A sudden gust sweeps through the platform, carrying with it whispers words in languages lost to time. You can almost make out phrases: guardian, awakening, blood pact. The hatchling's eyes glow brighter, matching the pulsing rhythm of the tower's heartbeat. You take a deep breath and step toward the edge, peering into the swirling mists. Below, there, faintly illuminated, you see movement figures cloaked in shadow, circling the ruins. They pause and look up, as if sensing your presence, and then melt away into the fog. The air shimmers, and the tower's silhouette begins to change. Cracks of glowing light spider web across its surface, revealing intricate runes and symbols on ancient script that hums with power. You remember the vile rune's memories and the voices that spoke of the dragon you woke. It's becoming clear. This tower is both prison and beacon. The dragon inside waits, bound by spells older than any kingdom, its fate entwined with yours. The hatchling stirs beside you, stretching its wings wide. The sun breaks fully over the horizon, casting golden light that catches the scales along its back. You feel a surge of hope and dread intertwined. The moment you've stepped into is one where myth and reality blur, where the choices you make could echo through centuries. You glance at the hatchling, and it looks back with fierce intelligence ready for what comes next. A soft crackle fills the air, and the tower's runes flare to life. Something is awakening. The glow from the tower's runes intensifies, spreading like wildfire across the black stone. You watch in awe as intricate patterns twist and pulse, casting eerie shadows that dance around the platform. The very air hums with raw, untamed power rolled. Magic, or perhaps something older than magic itself. You feel your heartbeat quicken, the weight of the moment pressing into your chest like the mountain's own gravity. Your hatchling shifts beside you, its golden eyes reflecting the fiery script. It lets out a low rumble, a deep vibration that resonates through your bones, syncing with the tower's song. It's as if your companion is both part of this awakening and its herald docked suddenly. The mist below the platform roils violently, swirling into columns of twisting smoke that rise like specters. From within the fog, shapes begin to emerge massive. Serpentine forms with scales shimmering in shades of obsidian and sapphire. They glide through the air with ghostly grace, wings silent but imposing. These are the ancient dragons. The legends said they would return when the time was right, when the last ember of their kin flickered alive. You hold your breath as one colossal dragon lands near the base of the tower. Its eyes are pools of molten gold, and its breath steams in the cool morning air. The ground trembles beneath its weight, stones shifting and cracking. There's a deep sense of history in the way it moves, power tempered by age and wisdom. It lowers its head and emits a resonant call, a sound that carries across the valley and shakes the leaves from distant trees. Your hatchling responds immediately, spreading its wings and taking flight. It circles the elder dragon, weaving between its massive limbs in a display of affection and recognition. The two dragons share a moment of silent conversation that needs no words. You watch, captivated and humbled. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you recall a curious fact. The idea of dragons as celestial beings appears in many cultures. From the Chinese Lung, who governs rain and rivers, to the Norse Jörmungandr, the world serpent encircling the earth. These creatures symbolize cycles: birth, death, renewal. Their stories might be myths, but the power they represent feels undeniably real here. Yet, there's a fringe theory claiming dragons are interdimensional beings. Their appearances a ripple from other planes of existence, while most historians dismiss this. In moments like this, It's tempting to wonder whether there's more to these myths than ancient storytelling. You feel a tug at your sleeve and glance down. The hatchling lands beside you, pressing its warm head into your palm. You realize it has grown again, muscles rippling under its scales. The glow from its wings a soft golden light. The elder dragon's gaze shifts toward the tower, and the runes glow brighter still. Suddenly, the tower's top fractures with a booming crack, sending a shower of sparks into the sky. From within, a figure emerges, a colossal dragon-shaped silhouette, wings outstretched, body cloaked in swirling mist. The ancient dragon steps forward, its voice a deep rumble that reverberates through your chest. The time has come. You swallow hard. This isn't just a story anymore. This is a beginning, a rebirth. You take a step closer to the edge of the platform, the hatchling nuzzling your side. Together, you watch as the dragons of legend prepare to reclaim their place in the world. And you wonder, what role will you play in this new dawn? The dawn light filters through the mist, casting a pale glow over the awakening giants gathered below. You watch the dragons as they begin to move slowly at first, tentative like newborns discovering their wings. The largest one, the figure that emerged from the tower, unfurls its vast wings, each feather shimmering with ancient power, and launches into the sky with a thunderous beat. The sound rattles the valley, shaking loose leaves and stirring the swirling fog. Your hatchling follows, smaller but determined, darting through the air with a playful grace that contrasts with the elder's commanding presence. You feel your chest tighten with a strange mixture of awe and fear. These creatures are magnificent, yes, but they are also wild and unpredictable, embodiments of forces you barely understand. Your gaze falls to the ruins below, the crumbling stones that once formed sacred sites to dragon worshippers. These places have been silent for centuries, but now you sense a stirring beneath them, as if the land itself remembers the time when dragons ruled the skies and the earth. You take a cautious step forward, feeling the soft earth underfoot vibrate. Faintly with every beat of the dragon's wings, the air is charged with magic, thick and heavy, like the hum of an unseen engine. You can almost hear the land whispering, secrets carried on the wind. You recall a historical fact. The Komodo dragon, the largest living lizard, was unknown to Western science until the early 20th century, sparking wild speculation and fascination. While they're not the mythical dragons of legend, their existence feeds into the human imagination, blurring lines between reality and myth. On the fringe, some believe that tales of dragons were inspired by the discovery of dinosaur fossils, gigantic bones mistaken for remains of fire-breathing beasts. Historians still debate whether these stories were pure fantasy or echoes of forgotten prehistoric encounters. A sudden gust carries a faint scent of smoke and pine. The elder dragon circles overhead, casting a vast shadow that cools the valley. Momentarily, you feel the weight of their gaze, as if the dragons themselves are judging your worth. Your hatchling flutters down beside you, and you scratch behind its ear, a small gesture, but one that cements your bond. It responds with a soft rumble, a sound like a purr, and nudges your hand with its snout. The valley below begins to change. The ruins shimmer, stones realigning, pillars straightening. It's as if the dragon's presence is breathing life back into the ancient land, restoring what was lost. You feel the ground tremble beneath your feet and hear a deep, resonant voice inside your mind, an echo of the voice that spoke earlier. The pact is renewed. You realize this is more than a rebirth of dragons. It's a renewal of an ancient bond between humanity and these creatures. One that has been forgotten, but not broken. You look up at the sky, where the dragons dance among the clouds, their silhouettes cutting sharp lines against the lightning blue. You wonder what stories will be told when the world remembers the birth of the dragon once more. And in that moment, you understand. You are part of that story now. The dragon's dance above you shifts from a slow, elegant glide to a fierce display of power. Wings beat with increasing speed, sending gusts that ripple through the valley and stir the long-forgotten grasses into waves. The hatchling arcs beside you, its golden scales shimmering brighter in the growing sunlight. You feel the warmth from its body like a gentle fire, pulsing in sync with your own heartbeat. You take a deep breath, feeling the crisp mountain air fill your lungs, the scent of pine, earth, and faint ozone, the aftermath of the dragons. Fiery breath mingles around you. It's a sensory cocktail that feels both ancient and new. Like the world itself is waking up with a deep, contented sigh. As you watch, one of the elder dragons swoops down toward the ruins, landing with a deliberate grace. The ground shudders beneath its claws, and a low rumble echoes from its throat. It raises its head to the sky and lets out a call that vibrates through the valley, a sound both beautiful and terrifying. This is the call of power, of reclamation, a declaration that the dragons have returned not as myths, but as living forces. You remember something from your studies. In medieval Europe, dragons were often portrayed as evil beasts to be slain, symbols of chaos and sin. Yet, in East Asian cultures, dragons are revered as benevolent, wise, and powerful beings associated with water, rain, and prosperity. This duality reflects a deep cultural divide in how humanity relates to power and the unknown. Historians still argue whether dragons originated as shared myths passed along trade routes, or developed independently as archetypes of nature's might. Either way, their stories converge here, in this valley, in this moment. The hatchling nudges your side, snapping you out of your thoughts. It looks up at you with those intelligent eyes, then at the elder dragon's fiery display. You sense a lesson here about legacy, about balance, about the importance of understanding power, not just fearing it. You step closer to the edge of the platform, your gaze sweeping over the ancient ruins below. Moss and vines reclaim the stones, but the runes etched into them pulse faintly, like a heartbeat reawakening. You wonder if the dragon's return will restore the world or change it irrevocably. A sudden breeze carries a whisper, barely audible but unmistakable. Remember. You nod, though no one is there to see. The hatchling lets out a soft growl, playful but firm, and leaps into the air. You follow its flight with your eyes, watching as it disappears into the clouds where the elder dragons soar. For a moment, you're alone on the platform, surrounded by the vastness of the mountain and sky. The silence settles around you like a soft blanket, comforting and vast. You realize this is just the beginning, a new chapter in the ancient story of the birth of the dragon. Asterisk. The platform beneath your feet feels steady but alive, as if the mountain itself breathes alongside you. The distant cries of dragons echo faintly, fading into the soft rush of wind threading through the peaks. You lean into the cool air, feeling the texture of time weaving around you, ancient, unyielding, yet somehow fragile. Behind you, the path you climbed remains hidden beneath mist and shadow, the gateway sealed once more. Forward is the only way now, and you sense the valley below holds secrets deeper than the stones that litter its floor. As you descend the stair carved into the mountain's spine, the air grows warmer, richer with scents of resin and burnt wood. You're reminded of campfires and old tales spun beneath star-studded skies, the kind of stories passed down by elders to children who listened wide-eyed to dragons that breathed fire and wisdom. You reach the valley floor where ruins stand, like forgotten sentinels, their surfaces etched with symbols similar to those in the egg chamber and the tower. You run your fingers lightly over a weathered glyph, a dragon coiled in a spiral, claws clutching stars. The stone is cool and smooth, and beneath your touch, it seems to hum softly. Nearby, a pool of water mirrors the sky, perfectly still. You kneel to sip, the cold water shocking your senses awake. Looking up, you see the reflection of a dragon's wing pass over the clouds. For a heartbeat, you imagine it might be your hatchling, watching, waiting. You rise and continue through the ruins, stepping carefully over roots and stones until you reach a circle of standing stones. In the center lies a pedestal, cracked but intact, bearing a carved image of a dragon's head, eyes closed in eternal sleep. The air here is thick with memory. You set down the scale from your bag, the one that hums with the mountain's pulse, and place it on the pedestal. Immediately, a shimmer runs through the circle, and the ground vibrates beneath your feet. A voice fills the air, not in words, but in feeling, warmth, anticipation, promise. You recall a curious fact. The Chinese dragon, or lung, is said to govern water and weather, a symbol of prosperity and luck, and is often depicted as a serpent with deer antlers. In contrast, Western dragons are typically winged and fire-breathing, embodying destruction and chaos. This duality mirrors your journey, the meeting of two worlds, ancient and modern, myth and reality. Historians still argue whether dragons were created to embody human fears or hopes, or if they are remnants of prehistoric creatures remembered through millennia. As the sun dips lower, casting golden hues across the valley, you hear the soft flutter of wings. Your hatchling lands beside you, its eyes glowing with gentle light. It nuzzles your hand, a silent companion in this waking dream. Together, you watch as the sky darkens and the first stars begin to twinkle, like sparks from a dragon's breath. And somewhere deep within you, a story takes flight. Night descends softly over the valley, draping the ruins in deep indigo and silver moonlight. The air cools, scented with pine and earth, and the stars begin to prick the sky, scattered like scattered embers from a long-forgotten fire. You feel The weight of silence settle, thick but gentle, a blanket woven from centuries of waiting. Your hatchling curls at your feet, its warm body radiating a comforting glow in the darkness. It's smaller now, resting, but you can sense its heartbeat a slow, steady rhythm that somehow aligns with the pulse of the ancient land beneath you. You look up and catch a glimpse of the constellations, familiar shapes traced by celestial fire. One cluster glimmers brighter, forming the silhouette of a dragon mid-flight, its tail flicking through the stars like a comet's tail. It's an image that has been painted on cave walls, embroidered into tapestries, whispered in bedtime stories around campfires, symbols as old as human imagination itself. You reach into your pocket and pull out a small piece of parchment you found earlier, covered in symbols and sketches of dragons from cultures all over the world. There's the Chinese lung, sinuous and majestic, the Norse Fafner, greedy and fierce, the Aztec Quetzalcoatl, feathered and godlike. Each version tells a different story, but shares a heartbeat beneath the myth. You muse on a historical tidbit. The belief in dragons often connected to natural phenomena, volcanic eruptions, floods, storms, events that ancient peoples struggled to explain. Dragons were metaphors, warnings, and guardians all at once. The legend of the lantern worm in England, for example, tells of a serpent terrorizing the land before being defeated by a local hero, blending myth and moral lessons. Yet, there are whispers of a deeper truth. Fringe theories suggest dragons may represent collective unconscious archetypes, universal symbols emerging independently in cultures separated by oceans and time. Historians still debate whether dragons are human inventions or echoes of real creatures lost to prehistory. You sigh softly, the weight of wonder and responsibility pressing upon you. Your hatchling shifts and nudges your hand, grounding you in the moment. The night deepens, and with it, a subtle change fills the air. A soft glow emanates from the ruins, tracing the ancient runes, illuminating the forgotten pathways. The ground vibrates faintly, a gentle thrum that matches your heartbeat and the dragon's. You realize this is no longer just a story told to lull you to sleep. This is a living myth, breathing alongside you, inviting you to become part of it. Unfolding dot, and as you lie back against a stone warmed by the day's sun, the hatchling nestling close, you feel the pulse of a dragon's birth in your own chest. You drift into a quiet reverie. The night's chill soft against your skin as the stars wheel overhead. Your hatchling's steady breathing is a lullaby, a rhythmic reminder that in this place, in this time, the ancient and the present fold together seamlessly. The ruins around you no longer seem like broken relics, but living echoes of a time when dragons ruled both sky and spirit. You remember that dragons often symbolize transformation, a bridge between worlds, between the earthly and the divine. In Japanese folklore, for example, dragons are water deities who control rainfall and protect communities, embodying both destruction and nurturing. Their stories often emphasize harmony and balance, a stark contrast to the fire-breathing monsters of Western legend. As you watch the constellations shift, you consider the curious case of dragon iconography found thousands of miles apart. From the dragon motifs on Mayan temples to the serpentine dragons of ancient China. Could these be coincidental? Or is there a shared human memory etched deep within our collective soul? Scholars still debate whether dragon myths arose independently or spread along ancient trade routes, evolving like living organisms through time and culture. Your thoughts wander to the power of stories themselves, how they survive, transform, and shape our understanding of the world. Dragons, after all, are more than just mythic beasts. They are symbols of human fears, hopes, and the mysteries we long to explore. You turn your gaze back to your hatchling, now asleep with its small chest rising and falling, its scales shimmer faintly under the moonlight, reflecting a mosaic of dreams yet to be dreamt. You reach out and stroke the soft curve of its neck, feeling a surge of warmth and connection. A soft breeze stirs the air, carrying with it whispers from the past, voices that speak in riddles and rhymes, fragments of forgotten songs and promises. The night deepens, inviting you to surrender to sleep, to join the dreamscape where dragons soar free and the boundaries between worlds blur. You close your eyes, breathing in the cool night air, letting the gentle cadence of your heartbeat mingle with the quiet hum of the ancient valley. Here, beneath the watching stars, you are part of a story that began long before you and will continue long after. The birth of the dragon is not just a tale. It is a living legacy waiting for those willing to listen, to dream, and to believe. You awaken with the first light, dew clinging to the blades of grass like tiny jewels. The valley is hushed, save for the distant calls of birds and the faint rustle of your hatchling stirring. Beside you, its eyes open slowly, glowing softly in the early morning light, and it stretches its wings with a fluid grace that suggests a quiet readiness for the day ahead. The ruins shimmer under the golden sun, each stone catching light and shadow in a dance as old as the land itself. You feel an unspoken invitation to explore, to understand, and to witness what lies beneath the surface of myth and memory. You recall an ancient tale from Celtic lore, where dragons were guardians of sacred knowledge and powerful treasures. These creatures were said to dwell in hidden caves, their presence marked by the scent of smoke and the gleam of gold. Yet, unlike the fearsome beasts of legend, Celtic dragons were often protectors, symbols of strength and wisdom. This duality echoes through cultures worldwide, shaping humanity's complex relationship with dragons. The contrast between dragons as destructive forces and as benevolent guardians reveals as much about us as it does about these mythical beings. Historians still debate whether dragons were inspired by real animals, such as giant monitor lizards, or now extinct creatures, or if they sprang purely from the well of human imagination. Some fringe theories even propose that dragons are remnants of ancient cosmic forces, their stories encoded in the stars. You wander through the circle of stones, your fingers tracing the ancient runes. They pulse faintly beneath your touch, as if awakening from a long slumber. The hatchling follows, curious and watchful, its tail flicking softly in rhythm with the earth. The air fills with a subtle energy, a gentle vibration that speaks of renewal and promise. You sense that this place, these ruins, are not merely remnants of the past, but living memories. Waiting to be remembered, you kneel by a small pool, watching your reflection shimmer alongside that of your hatchling. In that moment, the boundaries between legend and reality feel thin, almost imperceptible. The birth of the dragon is not just about fire and flight. It is about connection between past and present, myth and truth. Human and dragon dot as the sun climbs higher, warming the valley. You stand, ready to follow where the story leads next. The afternoon light softens, casting long shadows across the valley as you and your hatchling journey deeper into the ruins. The air is alive with the scent of wildflowers and damp stone, mingling with the faint trace of smoke, a reminder of dragon's fiery breath, both destructive and life-giving. Each step feels purposeful, as if the land itself guides you toward a destiny long awaited. You pause at an ancient altar, worn smooth by countless generations, symbols of dragon's coil. Around its edges, their eyes carved deep into the stone, staring into infinity. You reach out and trace the delicate lines, feeling a pulse beneath your fingertips, a heartbeat echoing through time. Stories flood your mind, tales of dragon riders who soared the skies, of kingdoms built on the backs of these majestic creatures, and of pacts forged between humans and dragons that shaped the course of history. Yet, many of these tales remain shrouded in mystery, lost to the sands of time, leaving gaps that historians still strive to fill. A quirky tidbit comes to mind: the legend of the Welsh dragon, which supposedly flew so fiercely that its fiery breath scorched the land, creating the red fields that still color the countryside. While it's easy to dismiss such stories as fanciful, they reveal the deep-rooted place dragons hold in human imagination. Historians continue to debate whether dragons are purely mythological or if they stem from real, ancient creatures, their memory distorted and magnified through generations. Some suggest dragons were once misunderstood dinosaur fossils, while others argue for symbolic interpretations tied to human psychology and culture. Your hatchling nuzzles your side, breaking your reverie. It spreads its wings, casting a shimmering shadow across the altar, then lifts into the sky with a powerful beat. You watch as it joins the elder dragons soaring above, their forms weaving through clouds like living legends reborn. The valley hums with renewed life, the ruins awakening. Under the dragon's watchful eyes, you realize that this journey is far from over. It is merely the beginning of a new chapter in an ancient story. You take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past and the promise of the future converge within you. And as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of amber and violet, you close your eyes and listen to the gentle lullaby of dragons, a song as old as time and as enduring as hope. Word count 2095 wind down as the day fades softly into night. Allow yourself to sink deeper into the calm. The dragon's song fades into a gentle hum, like distant wings brushing the sky. The ruins settle into peaceful slumber, and the valley breathes with a slow, steady rhythm, the heartbeat of ancient earth. You feel warmth spreading through your body, the steady rise and fall of your breath syncing with the quiet pulse of the land. There is nothing left to fear here, only the soothing presence of legends awakened and dreams reborn. Let your mind drift gently, carried on the wings of the dragon you have met in this journey. A creature born not just of fire and scale, but of stories and dreams that live inside us all. The night wraps around you like a soft cloak, comforting and vast. With each breath, you become lighter, freer, ready to slip into the quiet embrace of sleep. Thank you for traveling this path tonight. May your dreams be filled with soaring wings, shimmering scales, and the gentle glow of ancient fire.